Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, I am going to be showing you a new Tangrowth card, but I need to start with an apology. You see, yesterday I showed you my kind of last 3 cards from Fairy Rise video, and I told you that meant that I had now covered all of the cards in Fairy Rise, bar some pre-evolutions, and I was done, and yay, whole set. And then a few of you got in touch and said, hang on a second, Wassy. You ain't done yet, sir. You haven't done Tangrowth. So I went and had a look at Tangrowth, and I thought, you know what? This is pretty nice. This is one of these ones I actually translated using Google Translate, which seemed pretty clear, though I did, of course, hit up the lovely David Hochmann to check my working. And to be perfectly blunt with you, ladies and gentlemen, this is a card with a fair amount of potential, which is really helped by some of the new cards from Fairy Rise. A lot better, given the other cards that are coming out. So it is a grass Pokemon. This is quite nice. We just had a look the other day at Life Forest Prism Star, which lets you heal 60 damage from one of your grass Pokemon during your turn and all special conditions. It's Pokemon Center Lady, but as a stadium card. And we had a look at Netball, which lets you search for any basic grass Pokemon or any basic grass energy. And we had a look at Shaman, which lets you heal 20 damage from your active grass Pokemon, which is going to be very relevant, as we're going to see in a moment. You are, of course, hitting weakness against stuff like Lycanroc, which is very relevant, and Lapras, which is kind of relevant, although Lapras does seem to have fallen off the map, and with Max Elixir rotating soon, I'm not convinced it's actually going to be coming back. Sad but true. The retreat cost of 3 is very high, and having lost both Floatstone and Heavy Ball, there's no way around it, it just plain sucks. But the weakness to fire is pretty good. Yeah, okay, we've got Ho-Oh, which is a good fire Pokemon, but that's going to get a one-hit KO on you anyway. Not a bad weakness to have right now. And as for 140 HP, I mean, for a Stage 1, this is pretty good. This is higher than some of the Stage 2s we've been looking at lately. Like, for instance, the new Gardevoir, which is sitting there with 130 as a Stage 2, so 140 as a Stage 1 is pretty gosh darn nice. Now, it is the first attack here, which I think is the most exciting. 1 grass, 2 colourless energy. If you've recovered this Pokemon's HP this time, added 130 damage. That's what Google says. I feel confident saying that it is. If this Pokemon has recovered any HP this turn, this attack does an extra 130 damage. 160 for free energy, especially when you can use double colourless energy, is just plain good. Because you see, 160 hits the numbers. We talk about the numbers quite a lot, and you need attacks to hit the numbers. 160 will get those non-GXs. Things like Empoleon, for instance. Stage 2s generally go up to about 160. Your Prism Stars like Solgaleo generally go up to about 160. So you're getting a flat, easy one-hit KO on these. That's pretty nice. Then you add a choice band on that bad boy, and all of a sudden, you're going up to 190, and stuff like Buzzwole is going down. Now, the problem with hitting 160 and 190 is that you're not getting a one-hit KO on stuff like Zoroark. Now, there's options. You can play a Professor Kukui to do that extra 20 damage, but it's a little bit awkward. You can play a Lurantis promo to hit that 20, but that's a little bit awkward as well. Options, certainly. And if you're going full Tangrowth, there's nothing to stop you playing like a 1-1 Lurantis line just to cover you against cards like Zoroark. But generally speaking, you're not going to be getting them. But then again, you are getting the majority of the format. If you're hitting 160 to non-GXs, 190 to GXs, you're not getting absolutely everything, but you are at that stage KOing the majority of the format. You're generally getting it done. This is very, very nice indeed. You're hitting the numbers. And in terms of energy cost here, it's pretty nice. 1 grass and a double colourless. Now, the big problem is you don't have that extra acceleration. So in Fairy decks, you've got something like Gardevoir, and in Psychic decks, you've got something like Malamar, and in Water decks, you've got Aqua Patch. To be fair, and I am not in any way, shape, or form actually saying you should use this, but you could use a Abomasnow from Forbidden Light here. Being a Stage 1 might be a bit awkward. Generally speaking, decks like Malamar do tend to have basic attackers, because you don't really want all evolutions, but Abomasnow does sit there as an option. We're not going to have Max Elixir, but you could always use Macargo GX. Lets you discard the top card of your deck. If it's a basic energy, you can attach it to one of your Pokemon. So that could work nicely. I mean, in an ideal world, a Abomasnow would be the one I'd want, but a Abomasnow is only when you evolve into it. It's not an every turn thing like Malamar, which does make it significantly worse. If I had the same ability as Malamar, that might be quite nice. But it's 2 energy attachments. There are going to be plenty of times you can just do this manually. There are options to getting the energy on there. In terms of healing, however, we've got a whole bunch of options. Because you've got, well, the aforementioned Shaman. Lets you heal 20 damage from your active grass Pokemon once per turn. So that means that every turn, as long as you've got a basic Shaman on your bench, it's not going to be hard, and you've got Netball, and you've got Nest Ball as well if you really want. You really shouldn't worry about that. You're not going to struggle to get your basics out here. So that's going to be nice. You've got Life Forest Prism Star. Now, it's only once in your deck. But then again, your opponent can't use a Field Blower to get rid of it. But then again, they can just replace the stadium. So that will work in some games. In other games, you'll put it down, heal 60, and your opponent will immediately get rid of it by putting their own stadium down. And that will suck. But there's nothing you can really do about that. So it's one of those. I suppose that the polite way to put it would be, don't worry your pretty little head about it. And let's not forget we've still got Gardenia. Now, Gardenia hasn't actually seen any play, and I'm not sure it's going to see very much play. But if you've got a grass energy attached to your Pokemon, you can play a Gardenia here, and it lets you heal 80 damage from that Pokemon. And here's the thing that does need to be mentioned here. It's not just a case of healing to do the extra damage, because every time that you heal, and this might sound a bit obvious, but bear with me here, you're healing. You are healing every single time. So if your opponent goes and does 100 damage to you, and you've got 2 Shaman and a Life Forest Prism Star, you're healing that 100 damage straight away. Let's say you're up against a Zoroark that can only hit a maximum 120. A Gardenia and a Life Forest Prism Star will completely heal that. Or a Gardenia and 2 Shaman will completely heal that. Or a Life Forest Prism Star and 3 Shaman will completely heal that. Is it too much to have sitting around on the bench? Is multiple Shaman plus your Tangrowth plus potentially having to get some kind of energy acceleration as well a little bit too much? Maybe the answer's yes. But I just want to point out here that what you're able to do is heal up every turn while doing 160. And if you look at the other Pokemon that do 160, Lapras, a GX for a water, and then you can't attack next turn. Buzzwole, a GX for fighting, and then you can't attack next turn. Raichu, for a lightning, colorless, but then you've got to do some damage to yourself. 30, if you're wondering exactly how much. So actually, if you've just got to get a grass double colorless and heal yourself, that ain't too bad. Now, I know one of the problems you might be thinking here, and I thought of this too. What if you don't have any damage on you? I think there's a big argument for Potown here. Now, admittedly, Potown you can't play if you got Life Forest Prism Star down, because you'll get rid of it. But Potown will put 3 damage counters on you when you evolve. Then you can just heal with Shaman, and 2 Shaman will heal it off quite nicely. Then you get to do the extra damage. So if you're worried about having damage on you, Potown's got your back here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, there's plenty of Pokemon you can use to damage yourself, but I think Potown's probably the easiest way to do it. I mean, a lot of the time your opponent will hit you, but there will be games where they won't hit you unless they can one-hit KO because they don't want to turn on the big damage. Potown can help you out quite nicely here. And, of course, it puts 30 damage on them when they evolve, meaning that your 190 will be hitting 220 against an evolution. 190 is enough to KO basics, which means you only need the extra damage for evolutions. Potown will help you out here quite nicely, meaning you don't have to rely on something like Kukui. There's gotta be potential with this. Now, as for the second attack, 2 grass, 2 colorless, 110. I mean, look, it's an extra grass energy over the previous attack, and if you really can't heal, it's a fine alternative. But honestly, it's too expensive. It doesn't do enough damage. I'm not a fan. It's all all about the first attack here. And maybe it's going to be too awkward having to heal. Maybe the grass and a double colourless on a stage 1 is too much. But anytime you can take advantage of this healing on a high HP stage 1 while hitting the numbers to KO a lot of the most relevant Pokemon in the format, you have got to have a look at this. I'm sorry I forgot about Tangrowth. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. I think it's a pretty decent card, but I want to hear from you guys. Do you think it's a good card? Do you think it will see play, or do you think it's just a little bit too awkward? Go nuts, but remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, then head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.